This is the second section video for Unit 2. We're going to talk about Georgia's climate and weather, and specifically how those two things affect the people of Georgia historically and today. First of all, weather. You need to know the difference between weather and climate. Weather is the day-to-day conditions, and climate is the average weather and patterns over a long period of time. Climate affects what kind of crops you can grow, what kind of industries, what kind of houses people have, what kind of clothes they wear. All of those are affected by climate. Georgia has a temperate climate. No huge extremes. We have cool winters. We occasionally get snow, and hot, humid summers. The Weather Channel keeps some statistics. You can, of course, check the daily weather anytime. But what I wanted to show you was, here's our forecast for today, but they also have this almanac section which shows you the historical monthly averages for temperatures. Here's the high for August, September, and October, and the low for those months, and what is the average precipitation for each of those months. When people are looking to possibly move to Georgia, that's one of the things they look at. When it comes to precipitation, Georgia averages where we are between 40 to 50. Actually, we're 50 to 52 inches of rain per year. Up in the mountains, lots more. Rivers flowing from North Georgia supply the state with water for irrigation for crops, drinking, electric power, and transportation. Those rivers are very important to Georgia. Occasionally, we do have a drought. Back in 2007, there was a drought that really affected Lake Lanier and the Chattahoochee River, which led to what people call the water wars. We do have occasionally have periods of drought. We do have tornadoes in Georgia, usually about 20 a year. It's a funnel-shaped cloud with wind speeds of 65 to over 200 miles an hour. March to May is the time where we have the most tornadoes. The deadliest tornado in Georgia was in 1939. 209 people were killed. There's a Today in Georgia History about it if you wanted to watch that. Today, unless a tornado is absolutely huge, we typically don't have nearly that many deaths because today we have radar to warn us of tornadoes, where back in 1939 they didn't really have much warning at all. Occasionally, Georgia is affected by hurricanes, with on the coast possibly damage from floods, but usually we're more affected by wind or possibly flooding from rainfall associated with a hurricane. It's a large storm that rotates around a central eye. In the Atlantic, they begin out in the tropical Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, or the Caribbean Sea. So Georgia typically has Atlantic hurricanes coming in near Brunswick or Savannah, or for us in Columbus, we're usually more affected by hurricanes that come up through the Gulf. We haven't had a major hit from a hurricane in 100 years. But when you see these signs, these are hurricane escape routes. Now, what about climate and development? First of all, Georgia's climate was and is good for deer, and deer hides were an early Georgia industry. Pine trees and products from pine trees were also an early Georgia industry because there were lots of them here. Our climate is good for farming. which has always been important to the state's economy. Our mild winters encourage tourists from the north. We're going to talk about Jekyll Island and all the millionaires who they formed the Jekyll Island Club to come down to Georgia during the wintertime to escape New York and Boston winters. The invention of air conditioning has helped the state grow more inviting, especially for people who don't want it to be so hot in the summertime. Georgia is really growing quickly. When we talk about the climate and the weather being important, this is a website produced by Georgia to encourage people to move their businesses to Georgia. And one of the things that they really push and that's influential in helping people come to Georgia is our climate and our weather compared to other places. So climate and climate, weather has affected the development of Georgia from the very earliest days to today.